Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party and let's try Grim Dawn. It's by Crate Entertainment, which was founded by the lead gameplay designer of Titan Quest, which is a different action RPG game. You can pick it up for $24.99 for Windows, but if you go to their site, they have different pricing packages available, so if you want extra goodies like digital soundtrack and what have you, you can actually pay a little bit more to get those. Right now, it is in early access on Steam. The first two acts are available, and they're saying it takes folks roughly 12 to 24 hours to complete both acts combined. The full game is supposed to be released in the fall of 2014. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll go over options and whatnot later on. And I know that a lot of folks, probably especially when they're trying to learn about these games, want to see me hop right into the action. So that's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to just kind of run to a section of the game that I've already gotten to, run around, kill things so you can see how this works. As I mentioned, this is an action RPG, and if you're familiar with this genre at all, which you probably are, it's very Diablo-esque. Diablo kind of really started the ball rolling with that way many years ago. So as you can see, you kind of move around. I'm using the mouse to click and move around. I don't think you can use the keyboard at all, though in this type of game, I don't think I would ever really want to do that. Now, I am playing my initial class, which I will explain in a bit later. My initial class is a destructionist, or wait, what is he called? Hold on, get rid of this guy here. Demolitionist, wow. Apparently, that is an incredibly hard word for my brain to wrap itself around. Which, as you can imagine, focuses on guns, ranged weapons, and explosions. And who doesn't like killing enemies with massive explosions? However, one thing that sets this game apart from others is that it's a dual class system. Once you hit level 10, you can pick a second class. Right now, I think there are 4 classes, and I think they're about to release a 5th, the Arcanist, at my understanding. So my other class is a occultist. So you see I can actually cast a curse there, which makes them take more damage and they slow down a lot. Now I'm going to use some grenades. Right now I'm just using a basic shot. I'm just kind of running them backwards. And I'm going to use a bomb, boom, and kill a bunch. The bomb seems super overpowered to me. There is a slight cooldown on it, but it's very short and it does a lot of damage. You can see there's a little bit of ragdoll physics, which I always love in these games, even if it's grossly unrealistic in many cases where the enemy just flies up towards the screen or whatever. I don't really care because it looks awesome. As you can have come to expect with, or this game has a lot of what you have come to expect with games of this type. Destructible environments, lots and lots of enemies, lots and lots of loot, things like that, boss type enemies, etc, etc. Now, one thing I do think this game is a little lacking right now, and keep in mind, everything you see, this is an alpha. So there will be more things that are coming, things that are going to change. I'm going to cast a curse on these guys. Oops, I used the wrong spell. And throw a grenade. Boom! Look how many enemies that one grenade killed. Insane. And since I'm arranged, I'm just kind of backing up. And I want to get them together so I can throw another grenade. Oh, and I'm low on health, and I use a healing potion. Now, healing potions heal you instantly. Now, they're not like Diablo and other recent action RPGs where you heal over time. That might change, and I think probably it should. I think instant healing is a bit powerful. However, there is a cooldown on them. At least I'm pretty sure there is. I would hope so. I would hope that there is. Now we get some mutagenic ichor and rolling blood. Now, don't get too excited if you played Diablo. Orange means that they're legendary items. That is not what they mean here. The coloring system's a bit different. Again, I know many of you have probably played Diablo, and there will be many references to Diablo in this game, in large part because, again, many people who are familiar with action RPGs have almost certainly played Diablo, so I want to give some kind of frame of reference to go with, and then, like I say, Diablo is going to be the one that most people have played. So the coloring scheme is similar to Diablo, but different. Different valued items have different colors. So, for example, this item is white, restored hat. This is a basic item. This doesn't have any stats, well, anything beyond basic stats. It's got 19 armor, 1 energy regen, and in this game, instead of mana, you have energy. But then the next tier up is yellow. So we're actually skipping green if you're, again, if you're used to WoW or Diablo as far as your item colorations. Yellow seems to be the green of this game. And I don't believe I found anything beyond yellow. Now, orange is components. Now, components are interesting in that you can use these to upgrade your items. So say you have, let's see where I put these down here on purpose. We have chip claws. This is partial component, 1 of 3. And if I use this in a weapon shield or an offhand, I get 4 physical damage and plus 4% physical damage. So I'm actually going to use that in my gun. Oh, I can't. For some reason. Oh, I think I have to right click it and then click it. It will say, are you sure you want to complete this combination? I will say yes. And you'll see I have a plus on the gun indicating I'm getting additional damage. Now I can also get this other chipped claw, use that, and now it is at 2 of 3. Now you'll notice here, before I think it was plus 3 for those chips, for those chip claws individually, and 3% physical damage, I think. And I think if you use the same component and make a full component, you get bonuses on top of the ones that you already put. So for example, you'll see here, this is partial component 2 of 3 because I use 2 chip claws. Unfortunately, I don't have a third to test this with, but I'm guessing that if you use all 3 as chip claws, you probably maybe get like an extra, 2% physical damage or whatever. I'm guessing. I don't know yet. I haven't been able to test that yet because I haven't been able to get 3 of anything. So those things are obviously very good. Gives you another avenue to upgrade your items. You can also have, again, like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, alternate setups. So you can see when I hit W, I'm switching between a rifle and a pistol and a mighty musty tome. So the pistol is a little bit faster. This is their pistol attacks. And then I'll switch to the rifle. Switch to the rifle. And you can see that that's a little slower. So the rifle does more damage, but the pistol's a bit quicker. So depending on what you're doing, you might want to switch to the pistol. And the nice thing with the pistol is I can actually have items in my offhand, like shields or that book, to get even more stats. So let's kill a few more enemy groups here. Again, I'm going to kind of talk about what I'm doing as far as my abilities. Left clicking, you can set your abilities left click, right click as to whatever you want them to be. So you can just right click on this item and it will come up with everything that I'm allowed to put onto left click. I don't know why they have limitations on that, but they make pretty logical sense. Fire strike is a basic attack. Grenade and the cocktails all make sense. It wouldn't make sense to put a skill like this on here. Vindictive Flame. Vindictive Flame is like an aura. Think of it as an aura that you maintain. So when I click it, you'll see I get a little red fireball hovering around me. This takes energy every second, but I also regen energy. So right now, well, while you're out of combat, your health and your energy regen very, very quickly, if not instantly. So theoretically, if I couldn't have a whole lot of auras going on because it would just eat into my energy. And again, think of energy as mana in this game. But anyway, this would not make sense to make as a left click because you don't want to turn it on and off, on and off, on and off. So this is just an ability. And again, just to set any of these, you just right click and it'll come up with all the abilities that you could possibly put there. You can put your potions on hotkeys as well. These are, of course, 1 through 0 on your keyboard number pad. Pretty standard stuff. Though I forget sometimes folks have not played any action RPG. So I do want to not dumb it down is not the correct term, but explain it in such a way that folks who haven't played this type of game know what the hell I'm talking about. And if you haven't played this type of game, you might say, well, what's the point? What is your goal? Well, right now you do have quests, like on the right hand side, and I can hover these or I can hide these if I don't want them in the way. But I do get quests, things like go slay this named enemy or find 5 of this particular item or what have you, and then go back to town. You'll get money and experience to level up and all that, just like you would in many regular RPGs. But the main goal for games like this is to get more powerful via levels, via spells, and via items. Oops, let's curse those guys. Again, the curse that you see a little pentagram over their head, that makes them do less damage, they move slower, and I do additional physical damage to them. And after we do this fight here, I want to show you the skill trees. And then we'll probably end up going back to town and going to a different area so you can see a different type of scenery. There are random caves that you can find that sometimes there's loot in there. Sometimes you might find NPCs that you... Hopefully it's still recording. There we go. I've had a few technical issues with this game, kind of expected being that it is an alpha. I've had, let's see, I've had a crash, I think. And I've had some weird issues where when I try to make it a window, when I borderless full screen, it actually goes larger than my monitor. I don't know if that's because I have 2 monitors or because I'm running my main monitor at a little different resolution than I think what the default is. Maybe that threw it off. But so right now I'm just running full screen. Other than that, I haven't had a lot of technical issues. Sometimes though, I've noticed if I'm holding shift and I attack, then sometimes that'll happen, like the game minimizes itself. I'm not sure quite why that is. And by the way, again, like many other action RPGs, this has a lot of the abilities that you've kind of come to expect. If I hold shift and left click, I use my abilities. So this way, if I misclick, I don't accidentally walk over. You can also hold F, and this means that normally if you left click on an enemy, let me find one here. If you left click on an enemy, you're just going to attack with whatever abilities in your left click slot, right? Well, if I hold F and left click, even if I click on the enemy, I'm going to move. This is handy if you're trying to get into the middle of enemies, especially if you're a melee type, or if you have some kind of special AE ability. You'll want to hold that, get in the middle, and then use your attacks. So speaking of cave, let's go ahead and pop into the cave real quick. And again, if any kind of weirdness, you can just assume that's probably going to be fixed. I'm going to hold F because I want to get in the middle here. And use my grenade. I probably should have used my curse first so they're doing less damage. Alright, my grenade's back up. Oh, let's heal up with R. Yes, and it does look like healing potions have a recharge. My healing potion is there. I also have energy potions. Honestly, energy, I've never ran out of energy or even came close to running out of energy. Now that might be due to my class, but even with auras on and just chain casting and chain using my abilities, I've never had an issue with energy. This might change later on, but so far it has been a non-issue. And again, it could be something to do with my class. So I said before I was going to go to the skills, so let's do that now. You'll see, first of all, I have Demolitionist and I have Occultist. Once you hit level 10, you have the ability to multi-class, which means, or dual class, I should say. This means that basically you are 2 classes at the same time, which is pretty neat. And technically, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You do have to pick a class, but you just don't have to spend any points in it if you don't want to. You can say, well, I'll just pick Occultist, but I'm going to 100% specialize in Demolitionist. But I went ahead and I put some points in Occultist. But first, let's look at how the skill trees are set up in this game. You have your mastery bar at the bottom. Points into the mastery bar give you relevant stats. So, for example, for the Demolitionist, your main stat is Cunning, which increases your physical damage. And we'll go over stats and what they mean in just a little bit. But Cunning is your main stat, but you get more energy, more health, more physique, more spirit, and more cunning for every point you put in the mastery. The other thing about mastery, if you look along here, you got these vertical lines kind of pointing down to the mastery bar. As I put points in this goes up, and I'll go ahead and do this just to kind of show you how it works. So you can see it went up, and I can undo the points if I want to. You cannot undo points at any time, it's just because I haven't closed out of this window. So as you do that, you unlock these abilities that are on the vertical line. So right now, because my mastery is beyond these skills, I can pick any of these. But because I haven't got to level 15 of my mastery, these are locked out. As you can see, it requires 4 additional points in Demolitionist. That should make sense. So you have your active abilities, which are square, which means you use them. Like you throw a bomb or you take a shot or whatnot. Now these circular icons are passive. So they either build on existing abilities or they're just an overall passive buff. Like they give you a flat 5% crit chance bonus or something like that. So if you'll see here, this is my main attack, Fire Strike. I think you start with this, or I think I picked it up. Regardless, this is your basic attack. It costs 7 energy, it does physical damage, and it does fire damage. However, you can see right below it, I have 11/12. I have put 11 skill points into this ability, and as you can imagine, the more points you put into ability, the better it's going to get. It's either going to do more damage, or give you a bigger buff, or do a larger debuff on enemies. Again, pretty common sense type things. And then, as you can see, out on the horizontal line from this ability, we have some circular or passive abilities which make this even better. So for example, this explosive strike increases the potency of fire strike with a chance to inflict great physical harm. With ranged attacks, it also explodes, causing damage to nearby enemies. And these also have multiple levels. So if you really just want your fire strike to be awesome, you could get this level 12 and level all these up to whatever at the max level. It's not always level 12. You can see here like the Granado is 16. It's probably just Granado, but I just like to say Granado. And then my buff, I can also increase my AE buff and things like that. Now you share skill points, so whenever you level, you get 3 skill points. You can put those skill points in whatever class you want. So if I just really wanted to start hardcore focusing on my cultist, I could. You can see I bought the Curse of Frailty from the occultist just to check it out. The occultist seems to have a decent amount of pets. He's like a raven and a hellhound, things of that nature. Obviously more of a caster for that. So let's quickly go over the, I have 3 unused spells points. Let's go ahead and max out our fire strike. I don't know if that's really the best, but you know, just for ease of use. And let's say we'll make our explosive strike even better, just to use them up. Now we can go to our character tab, and I would quickly go over the attributes. Now this game's interesting, and there's only 3 main attributes. There's physique, cunning, and spirit. In a nutshell, physique is your defensive stuff, your hit points, your ability to resist crits. The more physique you have, the better armor that you can wear, things like that. Cunning increases your physical and pierce damage, so it increases your chance to be able to crit. I don't think it increases the chance, or I don't think it increases the damage of your crit, but I think it increases the chance of you critting. And just, again, basically increases your physical type damage. And as you can imagine, for the demolitionist, that's pretty important. Spirit is going to be more of your casting type abilities. So increases the damage that you do from magical attacks. And it looks like they have a class specified for whatever your combination is. Because obviously before this would say like level 10 demolitionist. But because I picked demolitionist and occultist, I'm now a pyromancer. Even though, again, I'm going to focus more probably on the gun side with this character. And you have all your basic stats here, your health and your energy. This is all your offensive and defensive abilities, your resists, all that. Again, typical stuff you'd expect to see if you've played a lot of action RPGs. Under character slot 2, it'll show you the most difficult enemy or the most powerful enemy you've killed, along with just your, again, general stats, how long you've played. I'm at like 3 hours now, how many enemies you've killed. There's also factions. You can work with a faction to make them like you more, but later on, I haven't run into this yet. Apparently you can work with a faction, but if they have an enemy faction, they will actually get pissed off at you. One thing I forgot to show here. Since I leveled, I should have... Oh, here we go. I have 1 attribute point. Every level, you get 3 skill points and an attribute point. I'm going to keep putting up my cunning, and for every point you spend, you get 8 in that attribute. So I just spent 1 point, so I'm going to get 8 cunning. And let's go ahead and let's clear out this cave. And now, again, you can obviously see I've got my damage buff going. Right now, enemies have been pretty easy. And if you look, when I highlight enemy at the very top middle, you see the name of the enemy, how much energy it has, and what level it is. Right now, I've pretty consistently been fighting enemies my level. Now, I don't know if that's just really a lot of good luck for me, like just happening to fight enemies that are always my level, or if there's maybe a little bit of auto-scaling going on. I do not know. I'm also not sure if the layouts are designed randomly. I would think so. I think pretty much every action RPG I've ever played has that random. Let's get them bunched up a bit here and use grenade. Actually use it correctly. There we go. That grenade is insanely good. The only way I could see to make it even more gooder, would be to cut the recast time down. But it's pretty much one-shots almost everything I've seen. Now, one thing, talk about the graphics. I really like the shadow effects in this game. It's also got a nice, creepy ambiance to it. It's almost like a Fallout. Story-wise, and I've totally not even talked about the story up until now. Story-wise, it's more of a post-apocalyptic type thing. Basically, these two forces are warring over humans. One force, apparently, you just inhabits human bodies and uses them for evil. The other force is trying to stop those people, but they're trying to do so by wiping out humanity so that they don't have that tool they need to use to do the evil that they want to do. So both sides pretty much are not your friends. Wow, that was a lot of kills. So basically, we're trying to eke out a living at this point. Now, silver is your currency. Gold, not very desirable for these folks. They not too worried about the gold and the jewelry unless they give, you know, benefits from it. But yes, they actually trade in iron points. One thing I would like to see in this game is more like champion type enemies, right? With a lot of games like this, you run into either the blue enemies who have these, like, have bonus attributes, like they have more hit points and they have special abilities, like they do fire damage every time they get hit, or they explode on death, or they randomly immune themselves, things like that. I haven't seen any of that in this game. I've only seen a few bosses, and they've been very rare. I would definitely like to see more like named type enemies. So I just hit L. I've opened my own personal rift. Now rifts are going to be like your waypoints in Diablo, where when you discover the waypoints, you can teleport there. You can also hit L and you'll summon your own personal rift, and you can use that to teleport to any other rift. And I just clicked the wrong one. I want to go to Devil's Crossing. That's the main town. To get around quickly, which is always nice. In a game like this, travel is not really an interesting thing. The thing that you want to do is kill enemies, get loot, level. So this kind of helps cut down on that. Now, as again with other games like this, I've got a bunch of loot that I don't really need. So I'm just going to go to the dealer here and just sell a lot of this. Not even really going to look at it. I'm almost positive none of these white items are going to be upgrades for me. And you can actually purchase from him as well. You can buy scraps, you can buy gear, weapons, again, all the types of stuff that you would expect to see in a game like this. Now, I'm actually going to go over here. I haven't been here before. I just got a quest to go down here. So I want to see what this area looks like. So far, I've really been enjoying this. I like the feel. I like the ambiance of this game. I like the more... It's got like a creepy feel to it. Not like horror game creepy. Like, I'm not scared at any point. But it does have a nice creepy feel. Again, kind of talking about like Diablo. Or not Diablo. But been saying Diablo too much. Like Fallout. It's got the kind of post-apocalyptic world, and it's got some of that same type of ambient noises. And again, as you can see, I'm doing pretty well so far. One thing I don't like is that I don't think that you can change... Oh, did this say prison? Oh, this is prison dungeon. One thing I don't like is you can't change the difficulty. That's one big change that Diablo 3 made that I really, really liked, is they had a lot of difficulty levels, and it made it easy for you to change it. So I would like to be able to start at a higher difficulty right out of the start gate. Now, this just might be because they haven't implemented them yet. Again, keeping in mind this game is an alpha, so maybe they just haven't implemented that yet, and they're going to do it. But I would absolutely like to be able to change my difficulty at any time. Or at the very least, like I say, go, you know, maybe lower it, exit the game, go up to a higher difficulty. Because right now, as somebody who's played a lot of action RPGs, it's not because I'm amazing at them, even though I totally am. I'm used to this type of gameplay. I'm used to, you know, I know with range how to, you know, kind of stutter step out of the way of enemies when they get too close, and how to look at my skills and not totally bone myself from the very beginning, and get skills that are going to do at least fairly well. So at no point am I ever really seriously in danger of dying. Like that one time I got surrounded, but honestly I was just messing around at that point. And I would like to see more cases where I'm like, oh man, I just barely got out of that situation. So I'd like to see them add it so that I can change my difficulty and give me better rewards for doing so. So maybe I get more XP, more chance to get magic items, and what have you. Now, one other thing I like about this game a lot, and I think pretty much all games need this, or games like this could use this, I can swap out my abilities. So if, you know, I'm like, you know what, man, I thought this ability, it sounded so good, and I put points into it thinking it was going to be good, but now I've used it. Oh, I actually leveled. Now I've used it, and I was like, man, in reality, this is just not working for me, or I just want to try a different build. You can actually go into town and there are, I think, spirit leaders or something like that. I forget what they're called exactly. And you can pay to have your skills reset. Now, as far as I believe, you cannot reset your mastery skills, which again, keep in mind the mastery skills were the things that were on the bottom, which improved your overall stats based on, you know, whatever class you were increasing. So again, just as a memory, this is your mastery skills. I'm pretty sure that's mastery. I hope so. I don't look like an idiot if it's not. I don't think you can reset those, but you can reset everything else. So that's not really a big deal because you're probably going to want those mastery points anyway. But yeah, I do like that they've done that. Some people complain in Diablo that you could change your skills with absolutely no penalty. You just swap your skills out in and out. So they do have a price, and I think it gets more expensive the more you do it. So that might be a happy medium for folks where it lets you do it, but you have to think about it. You can't just be changing willy-nilly because you will quickly go broke. Though, honestly, I haven't found a lot of use for money as of yet, though, again, that will probably change. Now, there is going to be crafting in the game beyond, you know, just putting items into other items, which is what I did earlier. Go ahead and curse those guys, and here, have a grenade. Oh, yeah. But yeah, they are going to have crafting right now that is not in the game. I think it's going to work like again in other action RPGs like Diablo, where you find scraps and you can also disassemble items, I believe, and create new magical items with them. And it's probably going to be some kind of random number based. Imagine, ooh, nice. Got some elixir of spirit and something else there. So that is coming. Multiplayer is also coming. It is not in the game yet. I think it's almost required that an action RPG have multiplayer at this point. I think Torchlight was the last one that I know of that came out with just a single player. And I think these games, and now this is true for almost any game ever. Hey, spiders. I think the first time I've seen spiders in my entire life. But yeah, I think these games really thrive with multiplayer. So that is coming. I think it's supposed to come after Act 2, and Act 2 just came out. So I think probably in the next few weeks / month, it'll probably get multiplayer. That'll be fun to check out. Though honestly, I never do pug multiplayer ever. I'm done with pugs. I'm with every single game ever. I think I'm just done with pugs. Or pickup groups if you're not down with the cool kids lingo. But it is fun to pick these types of games up and play with your friends. Not like that. I made it sound really perverted when it wasn't supposed to. What else did we talk about this game? This game does have a stash. A stash is an area in town that you can store your items. Ooh, I'm stuck here. You can stop that if you would. If you don't mind, you gotta stop hitting me with that. I'm gonna curse this guy since he's doing a decent amount of damage to me. Got me to half health. But yeah, there's a stash where you can like, yeah, you know what? This item looks good. I'm not sure if I want to get rid of it just yet. Still a grenade. God, that's so good. The grenade is insanely good. You can also, there's a tab for a shared stash so that you can, let's say you make another character. You can put an item in that shared stash, and then from that other character on the same account, you can pick it up. So if you want to like twink another character out, and twinking means basically to put like really good gear on a lower level character. However, there still are requirements on items. So if you look at this gun, for example, it says it requires cunning of 114. So it doesn't seem to be, oh, never mind. I was going to say there's not a level requirement, but yeah, you can see on my vampiric bolt action rifle, it does require a player level of 7. It also requires a cunning of 82. I think that's very interesting that it requires certain stats to be at a certain level before you can equip an item. That's very interesting. I don't know if Titan Quest had this. Again, these developers, or at least the founder of this company at least, I think maybe there's some others who also did Titan Quest that are in this company crate. That are in the company called Crate, not in the company Crate. That also did Titan Quest. I played a little bit of Titan Quest, but it had that same problem that I have with pretty much every action RPG ever. The beginning is always super boring if you've played action RPGs before. And this game kind of has the same issue. You do level quickly, at least at the beginning, so it's not as bad. Oh, that webbing is unfortunate. Let's see if I can... As you can see, my screen gets all red when I'm low on health. Uh-oh. Sweet, I didn't die. Oh, I did heal. Because I was poisoned, and I didn't want to risk dying. I've actually not died at all in this game so far, I don't think. So yeah, so far it's been a little too easy. But again, I think that's less of an issue with the base difficulty, and more a chance of, I think, I would rather, instead of them increasing the normal difficulty, I would rather them, boom, God, that's so good. I would rather them say, hey, you know what, from the very start, you can pick any difficulty that you want, or even maybe like every difficulty but the last one, and then you have to beat the game on the hardest to unlock the last one. And again, you are rewarded, or you should be rewarded, I think, for choosing harder difficulties with more XP, more items, etc., etc. But yeah, it has been pretty easy so far, which again, I think that's fine, because there's going to be a lot of people who, you know, believe it or not, I've never played one of these types of games before. God, so good. So it's always good to not, you know, overwhelm them with all the different mechanics and make the game difficult if they accidentally... If they, you know, just kind of pick skills at random and they're just, turns out their character is super, super weak. Another thing that you can do, and I don't really use this a lot, but I think other people might appreciate this a bit more, is you can actually change the camera around, which letting me click out sometimes for some reason, which I don't. It does a pretty good job of locking the mouse most of the time, but then sometimes it just lets the mouse run amok. And I've got two monitors, and sometimes I'll click outside of the monitor or the game, and it'll cause issues for me. Which, by the way, not locking the mouse, a huge annoyance for me in general. I'm just going to kill things for a little bit longer. I think you get the gist of how the game works. You can also see, you know, how quickly my XP has been going up. This yellow bar here, or this bar here, is my XP, with the yellow being, you know, showing how much I currently have. You have your basic stuff here, the map. I can change this to the map that I'm, or the area that I'm in, or I can go to the overall map just so I can see the entire world map. Let's see, what else do we have here? We got our quest window, shows you all our quests, and again, I can, if I don't want to see all this, if you find that it gets in your way, you can hide that. You can also see notes. You find notes that you can read that give a little bit more story background, and they also give experience. You have, of course, your skills window and your character window. You can have multiple skill windows here, which, you know, I don't think I'll have so many skills that I'll need that, but, you know, it's nice to have it in case I do need it. We have a rift travel is here, a swap weapon, which is just W, left and right click, and then these are just not implemented yet. Now here, again, if you look at the top right, my minimap is really big because I'm old and my eyes aren't so good, but you can make it smaller, or you can just get rid of it entirely. We'll make it just kind of a small map. That should be even good enough for my old, decrepit eyes. I've had time to look at the map, I guess. So yeah, I've really been enjoying this so far. Again, it does start off a bit slow, but honestly, almost every action RPG that I've ever played has that exact same problem where you just start off slow and the game's trying to, you know, working on the assumption that you might not have ever played before. So you don't get enough skills that quick, and it's just kind of, you know, doing the same repetitive thing over and over. Now, granted, I say that, and I'm mostly just blasting these guys and occasionally throwing a grenade like that when it's getting to be a lot of them. But I'm hoping the combat gets more interesting. I'm a little disappointed that there's not a lot of interesting effects. So I just want to kill this guy because I want him coming out when I show it. So for example, I would like to see something where this is that curse of frailty that curses enemies, right? It lowers their damage, etc. I'd like to see an upgrade option along the way that says, okay, well, if an enemy dies while it's cursed, it has a chance of exploding and doing damage, or has a chance of, you know, turning to your side as a zombie for 10 seconds, or just something interesting on top of it instead of just a flat debuff or a flat damage buff. Again, just trying to mix it up, making it interesting, if that makes sense. Instead of just a numbers game, make it interesting. Maybe they blow up and the area around them becomes like rough terrain, if you want to use D&D terms, where enemies move a lot slower. Again, just, you know, little extra things that aren't just flat lowers their resistances by 15% or does 1,000 damage to all enemies. And I realized one of the things I said was to have them blow up and do damage, but I think you get what I mean. However, that's, you know, that's pretty nitpicky. That's more of wish list than me finding an actual fault with the game. But, and I haven't really got far enough to say, you know, how deep the combat is in other words. But, you know, for the most part so far it's been enjoyable, if not a bit simplistic, if not a bit easy. There are challenge modes apparently. I have not found where to do that just yet. If it was in the intro area, I missed it somehow. But apparently they are there. Another big thing that they've touting over this game is that your quests or your options that you pick in quests will have effects. So let's say if you do this quest and you decide to do it this way, then maybe a town or maybe a certain NPC will become available to you later on. But if you do it another way, then, you know, maybe you get a little bit more straight power or maybe you get a better item, but the NPC dies and you can't access them anymore, and maybe that's, you know, somehow significant. So they've been pushing that. Again, I haven't really seen that yet, but keep in mind I'm only about 3 hours into the game. I've just hit level 12 while you guys have been watching. There's the name. I'll just show you that. Don't stand in the fire. Whoa, okay. I should definitely not get hit by that. I want to kill his little buddies first. Never understood people who are like, oh yeah, ignore all the little ads to kill the boss. It's like, what, are you crazy? Oh god, get out of that. I don't know what it does. Let's get this guy cursed as well. I want to get my grenades. Now the grenades... Ooh, wow, this guy actually hurts. Now these enemies too will do what's called... if I can remember the name of it, let's not get hit by that. We'll do what's called leashing. If you played an MMO, you probably know what leashing is. Let's curse him again so he can't move that fast. Have a grenade. Now the curse doesn't last that long. I think when you upgrade it, it might do more damage. Not a lot of places to hide from that. Trying to get the grenade on him without being right on top of him. Oh, that's definitely not where I want to be. Let's go ahead and heal up. Let's not run into that. God, these small corners or small areas makes it a little bit hard to dodge that, which might be the point. Now see how he's going back. Notice how he's trying to run back to where he was. That's leashing. I find that to be an odd choice in a game like this to have leashing. You would do that, you jackass. It seems very odd to have leashing in a game like this, because a lot of times the strategy is to pull the enemies away from all their pals to make them easier to deal with. So having them leash seems, well, one, just weird in general, but two, actually abusable, because you can get some enemies to leash and then others to not. Go ahead and throw that. We're getting pretty low. He's at like 25% health. Gonna keep healing. Outrun the wave. And thus again, that gave me a chance to recover because he was trying to head back to camp. So I think they probably shouldn't leash. Probably at all. I don't think... Ouch. That actually hurt really bad. I don't know if enemies should ever really leash in a game like this. Because again, it seems like it's just too abusable. Watch out for that. Learned this boss's pattern though pretty well. Ouch. As I say as I get hit. My healing potion is not ready yet. I'm going to keep him cursed, just keep him slowed up. Oh, there's my health potion. Should have known that was coming. He should be just about had it. Die already. There he goes. Well, unfortunately, he didn't have a lot. Oh, whoa. Okay, never mind. He did, in fact, have a lot. Now, so it looks like we got a green item. The coloration of the items, I will say this. I find it a bit weird to change the coloration. It's pretty standard, both in action RPGs and MMOs, that the linear path of power is white, green. At the very least, at the lowest levels, it's white, green, yellow, right? Or white, green, blue. That's pretty... I've seen white, green, blue as well. going from white, yellow to green, I'll be totally honest and say that it feels like being different just to be different, right? Like, well, everybody else goes yellow as the second level, so we're going to go, or green is the second level, so we're going to go green. You know, I think standards, once they kind of get in people's mind, you should, unless there's a good reason to change it, just stick with it. I don't see a good reason to change it. Again, this is very minor. This is not like a legitimate, like, well, this game sucks because it changed the color scheme. That's not going to stop me from playing this game. I just think it's one of those weird things, like, come on, really? You're already using a lot of the standards. For example, again, when I hover over an item, it shows what I'm wearing compared to what I'm hovering over. Things that, again, people have gotten used to over the years as being standard. And again, when I hold shift and attack, I don't move. This is another standard that's been around since Diablo 1 or 2, I think. I think it was started in Diablo 1, I think. So, I think you should stick with the standards again, unless you have a good reason. But again, it's definitely not like, oh, this game sucks because it didn't do that. Just, yeah, again, just a very minor detail. I've quite enjoyed it so far. So, you know, we look at our items here, just kind of get an idea of what you're going to see on items. Now, obviously, this was an upgrade because it had white gloves. So you have 24 armor, increased armor protection by 9%, 15% pierce resistance, plus 22 defensive ability. I honestly want more offense. I don't really take a lot of damage very often because enemies tend to die quickly, so I want even more damage on top of what I've already got. You got these boots, reduce stun duration, increase my regen or my health. I've seen offense, or I've seen health and energy regen, things like that. I'd like to see, you know, again, keeping in mind we're on the very low end scale here of items. I'm only level 12, but I'd like to see some items with unusual properties. So, for example, maybe a gun where 1% chance when you kill this enemy for it to rise up as a zombie that will assist you for 10 seconds. Just unique attributes. Now, this might be already in game and just reserved for even higher tier items. Totally okay with me. But I hope to see that kind of thing in the game again, because I think we've kind of fallen back too much to all the items are +5 gooder. Right, so it's just a numbers game. It does, you know, increases my resists, or it does a percentage increase in my resists, or a flat damage increase. I'd like to see some where I have to think about it. It's like, the damage is less, but the effect could be really, really useful. It could really save my bacon a few times. So, you know, just things like that. And the last thing, just check and make sure I've basically covered over everything. I did, like I said, I did have some technical issues before. I think it crashed on me one time and the sizing problems that I had. But again, it's an alpha, so I'm not really gonna hold that against the game too bad. Let's just port back to town, I guess. Oh, no, let's kill the snake first. There's one snake who's been hiding. He dropped viscous venom. Let's go ahead and kill all these while I'm looking at my list of things to talk about and hopefully don't die after saying, oh, this game's too easy. I love cursing enemies, by the way. Any kind of debuff, I love. For whatever reason, I always like the idea of debuffing enemies so to therefore increase my own damage against them. So I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. Let's head back to town. Devil's Crossing. And just to kind of show you, go ahead and rotate the map because I'm used to it being a certain way. And we're going to turn this quest in real quick. There is not any voice acting. I would really prefer there be. Because again, in a game like this, people frankly don't care about the quest usually. I would like it to be voice acted and done in such a way that I could just turn this quest in quickly and start walking away and the NPC keeps talking. Because I'm interested in the story, but in a game like this I get in the mindset of I want to just go kill massive enemies. I don't really want to spend a lot of time reading the quest text and what have you. Again, if it was just a flat out normal RPG, different matter entirely. Again, that's just me. That's not a huge negative against the game. But again, kind of like in Diablo where you pick up these books that you find that have lore items and it just, somebody reads them to you as you just go about killing monsters. That kind of stuff I really like. Again, maybe that's coming later. I don't know. But yeah, he's happy that we cleared out those snake people. I've tell him I've taken care of it. Well done. We've got it all fixed. Thank you. Glad to be of help. We got an inventory bag acquired. Oh, so we got an extra inventory section. Nice. That's cool that that can be a quest reward. You can also increase your stash size. Just show you the stash just really quick. We are drawing to a close. I want to show you guys the options before as we end out here. Now this is your basic stash size, but keep in mind you also have item transfer. You can just kind of just use that as a stash. So if I just want to put this over here instead, I can access the shield now on every character that I ever make on this account. And of course, like I said, you can use it as free stash space. You can also expand your stash for 10,000 silver. That's a pretty damn good amount of silver. I tend to pick up everything and sell everything. I'm at 4.3 thousand silver. So expanding your stash looks like it's going to be a very expensive proposition. So you might want to be more careful. And the only reason I have all these yellow items was at the time I wasn't sure if crafting was still in the game. And now I feel like it's not. And I wanted to keep them in case I did, or if they did add the ability to break down these items in order to do your crafting. So let's go ahead and just leave here. We'll save the game. And we're going to go to the main menu. Yes. And we'll check out our options before I leave you folks. And we're just going to go over them very quickly. I'm not going to go through all of them either. You can just kind of quickly look at this. Again, pretty standard stuff. Some of these I don't understand what they are. And at some point I'm hoping that they have it so that when I mouse over an option, it'll tell me what that option is. But you can display damage. Like if you don't like the damage numbers popping up, you can turn that off. You can turn off the crit multipliers, things like that. Of course, you can turn the tutorial off. Internet connection fast. I don't really know why that's relevant. Maybe later on for multiplayer. You can rebind your keys, so that's always a good thing to have. Audio, you have your master, your music volume, sound effects, ambient, and dialogue. I love when audio options are split up like this. I love it because a lot of times I want the music on, but I don't want it loud, especially when I'm recording. And sometimes I want everything else to be loud except the dialogue, so I know what's happening. Now, the dialogue volume exists, so I'm guessing maybe the quest NPCs will be voiced at some point. And maybe it just means when your character talks, because sometimes when your character talks, he'll say, like, I'm out of inventory space or whatever. So, but hopefully they do add quest dialogue. Windowed mode, as I mentioned before, they do allow full screen, windowed, and full screen. Windowed full screen. Windowed full screen is what I tend to prefer. And if you're not familiar, basically what that means is the game's in a window, but the borders are gone and it takes up your whole screen. So it looks like you're playing in full screen, but it's actually windowed. The benefit to that is that you can quickly Alt-Tab, because if you just play full screen, Alt-Tabbing takes at least a few seconds to go out of the game and back in. So windowed full screen is usually the best. I had some technical problems with that. Again, I assume that they'll have those fixed before the alpha's over. You can choose your resolutions here, anti-aliasing, anti-sotropic filtering, texture quality, shadow quality, detail level, reflection, full screen gamma, FX quality, lighting quality, weather detail. So a lot of graphical options, which is always good. You can turn your vertical sync off or on, a triple buffering off or on, and some other crap that I don't even know what it is. So there is a lot of graphical options and a lot of audio options, which again, I very much appreciate when a developer does. So anyway, that was Grim Dawn. Again, keep in mind this is early access. It is in alpha. You can pick it up for $24.99 if you just want the basics of the game and you want access immediately to, well, the early access. You do have to get it on Steam right now, but my understanding is once the game is released, you can buy it from them and get a DRM free version if that's important to you. I also think if you buy it from their website, you'll get a Steam key, but you'll also, you might have to buy, I don't know how they're doing it. You might want to check their website. I don't want to say anything that's not true. But I think I read that they are going to offer a way to get a DRM-free version if you get in on early access. Again, if you're interested in that, if getting a DRM-free version is important, then might want to check their website. And again, they do have other pricing tiers, so if you want to pay a bit more and get some goodies, like if you really like this game, they do have that on the site. And I will have all relevant links in the description below this video. So I'm going to stop rambling on now. Overall, I did enjoy playing this. I do actually want to play it some more. I'm interested to see how much depth it has as far as, how interesting the skills are, how, like if it's just going to be mostly hold left click, occasionally press 1 or occasionally right click. I'm hoping it does build and get more interesting from there, because as you saw, that's mostly what I was doing right now. So I'm hoping to see a lot more varied abilities, so that I'm mixing up my abilities instead of just basically relying on 2 to 3 different ones over and over again. And also hoping to see more mini bosses and tougher enemies that actually, you know, put up a challenge and give good XP and good loot. So yeah, definitely check it out. If honestly, for those of you who are just deep in Diablo 3, because with the latest patch, Diablo 3 is pretty goddamn amazing. So if you're currently like knee deep in Diablo 3 and you're just really liking it, would I suggest to buy this? Probably not, because Diablo 3 / Reaper Souls is a finished game and this is an alpha. But I would absolutely keep an eye on it, because maybe by the time you start getting a little tired of Diablo 3, this game might be coming out soon, or maybe there's been a big update. Again, it's not coming out till at least fall of 2014, to my understanding. So you've got time. I would absolutely keep an eye on it if you like action RPGs, especially if you like them a little bit more. Well, Diablo's pretty grim, but this one's also pretty grim and gritty. And if you don't want to fight demons, instead you're fighting like ethereal, weird creatures. I don't know, it's not that big of a difference in this game, though the setting is definitely a significant difference, like the houses and whatnot that you're going through, but it has a lot of the same stuff like caves. But anyway, now I truly am rambling. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave comments, let me know what you thought of this video, and if you've tried Grim Dawn, post in the comments, let me know what you thought. Let me know, especially if you've played this and other action RPGs like Titan Quest, Diablo, Torchlight, etc. Let me know how this compares, or Van Helsing. Let me know how you think this compares to those. If you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.
Step back, though. We are getting this worked up about a mobile game. I mean,
I do hate you, though. I want to be 100% clear with a moment of seriousness. I hate your guts.